Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. I was watching a Diversity in Comics video and he was talking about Sana Amanat's plans to turn Marvel Comics into a lifestyle and entertainment brand. And in his video, he was scrolling down the Twitter of Marvel Entertainment, and I saw some head-scratching videos on there. Now, in one of the videos, we had the actress who played Misty Knight talking about her hair. And then we had another video where we had people doing a cooking segment talking about some sort of juggernaut burrito. And after looking at those segments, I had to scratch my head because I had to ask a critical question. What did either of those segments have to do with comic books, the promotion of comic books, or selling comic books? Marvel Comics' original mission was supposed to be about selling comic books to readers of comic books. How did it become a lifestyle and entertainment brand? Now, I believe the reason why Marvel is trying to be changed into a lifestyle and entertainment brand is because there's a whole host of beta males who work at Disney and a whole host of beta males at Marvel who lack the backbone and the stones to check this Sana Amanat, who is in some sort of odd position as some sort of vice president of content and character development. And because these men don't have any balls, they won't check this woman and let her know what the mission of Marvel Comics is. Because men who have a backbone and some stones, they're going to look at this segment like I did and say, this has absolutely nothing to do with comic books. This has nothing to do with the core customer base for comic books. This has nothing to do with the whole mission of Marvel Comics. And this has nothing to do with the mission of the Marvel Comics brand. As a publishing house, Marvel's mission should be trying to get comic books in the hands of readers. And when you have people using tools like social media to talk about Simone Missick's hair or to talk about some sort of burrito, that shows me, again, a complete failure of leadership. Because, again, leadership with backbone and testicles, what they're going to do is say, this Sana Amanat is not untouchable. She needs to be held accountable. Because as a vice president of content and character development, your goal as a vice president is to create content that allows the characters to be exposed in a positive way and to create character development that shows the characters in a positive way, that shows them positively promoting the mission that was established by their creators, like your Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. That is your job as a vice president of content and character development when there is an effective editor-in-chief and an effective CEO in charge. Unfortunately, Marvel Comics is run by a group of beta males with no backbone, and that's why we have segments on there talking about cooking and talking about hair. That has nothing to do with the core demographic customer base, which is primarily male. Now, if they wanted to talk about Marvel Comics on the social media, I would believe I would want to see an interview with a comic book writer who is talking about his upcoming products, like the run he's planning, or I want to see them talking about upcoming issues, or I want to see a penciler talking about his inspirations and ideas for character designs and character concepts. That's what I want to see on Marvel's social media, because if your mission and your goal is to sell comic books, then we need to see people talking about comic books. When I go out and I make videos as related to my SJS Direct Publishing imprint, I always sit down and talk about things related to upcoming books or upcoming stories. And when I go on social media, I go out of my way to promote upcoming books and upcoming stories. I recently just did a video where I was unboxing a new book that's coming out this October, Steam, The Sands of Time. And in that video, I just took the book out of the package like I did right now, and I talked about the upcoming book. I talked about the cover art, which was designed by Bill Walko. I talked about how great this cover art is, and I wanted to do this because I wanted to get my audience excited about this upcoming book. But over at Marvel, they're not talking about their upcoming books. They're not trying to get people excited about upcoming books. They're not trying to get people interested in buying books. And the reason why they're doing that is because this Sana Amanat, again, is not a leader. She is not someone interested in comic books. She's not interested in the promotion of comic books. She's not interested in the sale of comic books. And she has no business at Marvel Comics if this is not what she wants to do. If you want to be a part of a publishing brand like Marvel Comics and you want to be a part of a publisher, you need to be all about publishing. Now, the reason why she probably wants to turn Marvel into a lifestyle and entertainment brand is because this female has no understanding of the publishing business. She has no experience in the publishing business. And because she does not know how to make the publishing business work or how to compete in the publishing business like I do, what she wants to do is turn the business into something she feels more comfortable with. And because, again, we have these betas at Marvel Comics who lack the backbone and the testicles to check her, what is happening is they are sitting there allowing Marvel to be turned into this lifestyle and entertainment brand, something that Marvel Comics isn't. And when you hear the words lifestyle and entertainment brand, they are all about selling products to women who are not Marvel Comics' core customer base. Marvel Comics' core customer base over the last 80 years has always primarily been young boys, teenage boys, and men. That is the core customer base of Marvel Comics, and any smart vice president of content and character development would understand this, and they know if you're developing content for things like social media, you need to develop content that targets men. These are the people who go to the comic book store every Wednesday and plunk down $100, $200, $300 on comics, trade paperbacks, and merchandise like Marvel Legends. And your goal should be getting people excited about Marvel Comics in the same way I try to get people excited about upcoming SJS Direct titles like your Steam, The Sands of Time, or other titles like back here that are a part of my SJS Direct imprint. And if I can do this on a laptop computer from my bedroom, then why can't your Sana Amanat, who's probably being paid a six-figure salary, go out here and do this, being the vice president of content and character development? Why can't she go out of her way to get people excited about Marvel superheroes and Marvel Comics? And the reason why, again, is because she does not like Marvel Comics. She does not care about Marvel Comics. She does not have any connection to Marvel Comics. Whereas guys like myself and Diversity in Comics and Just Some Guy, Captain Cummings, Douglas Ernst, Mem Headroom, and many others, we've grown up with these comics. We know these characters, and we know what's great about these characters, and we want to see another generation of readers find and discover these characters in the medium that they originated from, which is 32-page comic books. And when I look at this whole lifestyle and entertainment brand angle, again, this is all about a grossly unqualified female trying to make the job work for her in the way she wants it to work and not the way it works for the company. And the reason why it's working like that is because, again, we have these beta male simps who, again, lack the backbone and the stones to deal with this female. They believe she is untouchable. However, when a female takes a job that's the same as a man, she has to be held accountable to the same standard as a man. When you take a position in a company and you take that responsibility on, you need to be held accountable in the exact same way that a man is held accountable. When you have people making idiotic segments talking about cooking and talking about hair, that's an embarrassment to a brand like Marvel Comics and a publishing house like Marvel Comics. A publisher, their ultimate goal is to get copies of books into readers' hands, and their ultimate goal is to get customers excited about those books so that they can anticipate the next issue of that book or go back to the back issues of that book. That's what a good content and character developer does, and that's what I do every day on the SJS Direct imprint. I want to get people excited about my books, and that's why I use social media to talk about upcoming releases or to talk about ideas and that I had for books or ideas I have for upcoming books, because that's how you build reader anticipation, and that's how you get customers excited about buying the next book. When you have somebody sitting there talking about lifestyle and entertainment brand, that's a deflection because they don't have the skills to go out here and sell books, because books are the hardest thing to sell in the business world. I know this because I've been doing it for over 15 years. When it comes down to books, it is a major challenge to get people to go out here and buy books, and you have to really know what you're doing if you want to get people excited about a book. And that's one of the things I've learned over the years, is how to get people excited about a book. I understand that you have to build that anticipation over 90 to 180 days, and you really have to go out here and enthusiastically promote your product, and you have to have your interviews. Like if you're going to do YouTube segments, you want to have those sit downs with that comic writer. You want to have a sit down with that penciler, and you want them to sit down and talk about what inspired them to come up with this idea for the story, where this is going to take this character, and where things are going to change as related to this character and their relationship overall. When you have your stories, like when you're talking about stories, that's what's going to get comic fans excited. That's what's going to get comic fans pumped. And that's what's going to build that energy that really builds that anticipation for people to start going to the comic store or heading over to Comixology. And that's what people want to see from a Marvel Comics, because the whole idea of promotion, which is what they're calling lifestyle and entertainment, is about you trying to build that momentum and build that energy up. And I don't see that with this whole lifestyle and entertainment brand. What I see is a woman trying to get away from a job that she knows she can't do and trying to turn it again into something that she believes she can do, trying to appeal to an audience that just doesn't exist. Again, I'm sitting there listening to her talk about lifestyle and entertainment, and those are concepts that are usually used with women, and she's sitting there talking about grandmothers buying comics when grandmothers are nowhere near a comic shop. As a guy who has bought comics for years and has gone to places like Forbidden Planet here in New York City and many other local comic shops, and even when they had them at local bodegas and drugstores here in New York, I never saw a grandmother picking up a comic. I usually saw teenagers, young adults, and when I would go to places like Forbidden Planet and Jim Hanley's Universe here in New York, it will usually be older men. So you're sitting there talking about grandma buying comics when grandma has not bought comics in over 30 years, because comics are not sold in places like drugstores, like supermarkets, like bodegas here in New York City, because comics aren't returnable, and because they're not returnable, those retailers have no incentive to go out here and buy those products, because they need to have that returnability in order for them to stock comics. I mean, recently Barnes & Noble's just stopped stocking comics due to this same issue, but they're sitting there talking about grandma can't buy something if she doesn't see it, and people have not seen comics for years, and she's sitting there talking about lifestyle and entertainment and appealing to women. But again, this is a deflection, and it shows me how weak the management is at Marvel and how weak the management is at Disney, because you have a female just like Kathleen Kennedy going off the rails, and no one is making efforts to check that female and let her know what her job is. Because when you hire someone to do a job, they should understand the duties of that job, the responsibilities of that job, and if they can't do that job, then it's time for them to leave. No one, as I see it, is untouchable, regardless of your minority, because if your son Amanat was a black man, she would have been fired almost immediately after making that interview, and if she was a black woman, she would have been terminated as well. So I look at this, that lifestyle and entertainment brand, and I look at that and I said, this is something that these guys have to get a backbone on, because if they don't get a backbone on it, you're not going to have a Marvel Comics in 2 to 3 years. And them outsourcing Marvel to IDW also shows me, again, more cowardice, because, again, it's them not going out of their way to confront a female, and that shows how weak these guys are. You have to have a backbone and confront someone and hold them accountable. And this is something I talk about in my ebook, Stop Simping in the Workplace, because only workplace simps go out of their way to give women passes. And when I look at the whole Sana Amanat situation, I see a group of workplace simps who have no backbone, no stones, and they're literally willing to let the industry leader of comic book publishing go out of business, all because they don't have the courage to go out here and check a female. If that's not simping, I don't know what is, because, again, that only a simp is going to let a woman turn their publishing brand into a lifestyle and entertainment brand. And again, that shows how weak these guys are. Real men, or responsible men, they're not going to let that happen, because they know that their job is their livelihood, this job is the way they make their living, and they're not going to wind up losing their livelihood all because they fear a female suing them. A man is going to understand that he has nothing to lose, and because he has documented video like that lifestyle and entertainment brand video, that's going to be his documentation when this female talks about, you fired me for discrimination. What he's going to do is play that video, and he's going to say, this is my reason for terminating you, because when you were out here and you make this type of statement, you showed me you could not do the work. And that's a corner that she cannot get out of with any sort of race card or any sort of victim card. You take their own information and use them against them. And that's something I talk about in Stop Simping in the Workplace. And that's a book I believe many of these comic professionals and editorial really need to go pick up, because if they picked up that book, Stop Simping in the Workplace, maybe the quality of many of these comics out here would start to increase, and many of these SJW females who think that they are going to have a fiefdom would start to see that these guys are going to be taken seriously. And I believe, again, the reason why we have so many problems at companies like Marvel Comics and people trying to change them is because many of these men lack the backbone and the stones to check these females, and they lack the backbone and the stones to let them know that as an employee, you are working towards my mission, and as the leader, I'm the one who's setting the tone. And that's the big problem I see at Marvel, is a lot of these guys just don't have the backbone to set a tone or establish a standard and let them know, look, if you don't want to follow this mission, if you don't want to follow this standard, then you can leave, because the Marvel brand is about comic books, it's about selling superheroes, and if you can't sell superheroes, then maybe you need to go someplace else, because Marvel Comics is about selling Marvel superheroes and the Marvel Comics comic book brand, and it's not about selling some sort of lifestyle and entertainment brand to audiences that have no interest in comic books. If you'd like to try some of my SJS Direct publications like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, the Spinsterella trilogy, and my men's issues books like Stop Simping in the Workplace, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. The man who rules the world and the angel of darkness take on a horde of demons in its inaugural John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, A Conversation with Death for 99 cents on Kindle or in paperback today.